Matthew and I are from Washington. We live about an hour and a half south of Seattle. So what we wanted to do was share some things about Pioneer Square that maybe you didn't know about and nobody has told you, or nobody will tell you about Pioneer Square, because it's a little hidden thing.
We were surprised at the number of things we were able to experience that were new, relatively new to both of us.
If you're visiting Pioneer Square for the first time, or if you have visited many times, here are some things that you should definitely check out that maybe you've never heard of before. One of the surprising things about Pioneer Square is that it does not feel like the rest of downtown Seattle. If you've driving into Seattle, you will see all the skyscrapers. There's a lot of glass and metal. Definitely just a different feel.
A lot of cities are very gray, and this is very red. And because because they're using the older construction, using a lot of brick and mortar versus just doing concrete stuff everywhere. It doesn't feel like a concrete jungle to me.
Pioneer Square feels totally different because it doesn't have those new modern skyscrapers inside of it. They're all buildings that were built, I would say, in the late 1890s.
Or early 1900s or something, yeah. But why did they rebuild it?
We are going to tell you why.
We will tell you at the end of the video.
Not at the end.
Oh, we'll tell you during, yeah.
Keep watching for why all were built at the same time. Here's another thing that people might not tell you, is that sometimes the best view of Pioneer Square is from up above. There's a couple different places you can go to get this view, or not. Oh.
Because it's scary.
He's scared of heights.
No, I'm not scared of heights. I'm scared of falling to my death.
Okay. So when you think of Seattle, a lot of times people think, okay, go up the Space Needle, go up, Columbia Tower. That's one of the largest skyscrapers in Seattle. In Pioneer Square, the tallest building is Smith Tower. And Smith Tower was built in 1914. And when it was built, it was actually the third largest building in the world. For decades, it was the largest building west of the Mississippi. So it has some notoriety as being a tall building. Of course, now it is dwarfed by all of the other skyscrapers around downtown. So Smith Tower, since it was built in 1914, when you go in, and yes, you can, you take the elevator up to the top, you pay for it, and it shows a lot of the history about the building. And to go up to the top, there's this really great row of old-fashioned elevators.
Brass.
Yeah, they're
very
cool.
It's very pretty.
Yeah. And so you go up to the very top, and so yes, there is an observation deck. It's really great views.
Scary.
But really great views of downtown Seattle and of the waterfront there. And we'll get some views of also Lumen Field, T-Mobile Park, the port. And they also have like a little bar / restaurant up there. So,
it is a good beer spot.
Yeah.
And just to kind of sit and relax and watch the world pass you by. It's
a great place to grab a bite to eat or to get something to drink. And you have great views of both downtown, of the waterfront, whichever way you want to look out. There's 360-degree view. It is really great. And another place that you can go to, they actually do have a rooftop bar in Pioneer Square. It's at the top of the Populus Hotel. It's called Firn. Make reservations. It's pretty popular. You go to the top and you have great views again, downtown of Pioneer Square. Beautiful scenery, get a bite to eat, get something to drink.
Pioneer Square, because of a totally different area once a game day actually comes up. It goes from a relatively quiet neighborhood to an event, a big event.
Just very serene, it's relaxing, there's not a lot of people around, and then game day, and then, lots of noise, lots of people.
So there are lots of people, there's lots of shouting, lots of vendors. It's a really cool place to be. It's a neat transformation.
lot of fans meet about an hour and a half before every home game in Occidental Park, and they have a little rally. There's lots of megaphones and shouting, and waving the scarves. So when everyone's ready and it's ready to go, then they just lead the parade.
I think they call it the March to the Stadium or something like that.
March to the Match.
March to the Match, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we've done it several times before. Mm-hmm. It's really a lot of fun. So the surprising thing, or what people might not tell you, is that you can go to the same place in Pioneer Square, have two totally different experiences based on whether there's a game happening that day or not. Something that people might not have told you about is how extremely photogenic Pioneer Square area is. So part of the reason why it's so photogenic, and we say it because we love taking photographs. Like we take photos wherever we go. There's such inspiration in the Pioneer Square neighborhood because there's so many different angles and different types of material that the buildings are made out of. I mean, there's stone. There's so many different colors. Like Matthew was saying, it's not, just gray and glass.
You might even find a waterfall. I guess we'll find out.
The waterfall is very photogenic.
We don't know about waterfall.
Features.
There might be a waterfall. You have to wait in the video and keep watching because there might be one that shows up.
It just shows up. Yeah. It's magic.
It's magic.
So yes, if you are an avid photographer, Pioneer Square is definitely a place you would want to go to. Yes, go and take pictures. Be inspired.
In 1978, Seattle built a waterfall in downtown Seattle. It's 22 feet tall.
You probably don't know about this waterfall, or people won't tell you about the waterfall. It is hidden. I mean, it's not like a secret door or anything like that, but it's one of those things that you don't expect when you're in a major city.
I didn't know about it. I've lived near Seattle my entire life.
So we decided, okay, we want to go see this waterfall that nobody has ever told us about. And we were shocked because 22-foot waterfall, I mean, it's not a little water feature in someone's backyard going into this nice little pond. I mean, 22-foot waterfall going over these big boulders in this area. And really, because of the noise of the waterfall, it's like a sanctuary because you don't hear a lot of the traffic out there. There's a lot of there's chairs and tables and benches and things, so you could just
grab your lunch.
Yeah, grab a lunch. Yeah. Just get a coffee, just sit there, read a book. Definitely go check out this waterfall. It is free also to go in. One of the things that surprised us about the history of Seattle is that it actually was very poorly planned. When it was first built, the location was chosen because of the excellent harbor that Elliott Bay offers. And they saw in the tide flats, which is 1,500 acres of mud flats, there was an area of raised land. And they're like, that is the great place to build the city on this raised land. And
that was stupid.
It was. They're like, we'll figure out the issues later, and we'll, solve problems as they come. Well, the problems came right away because it's tide flats, and the tide comes in and out twice a day. And it also wasn't rare for when the tides went in that people would be just walking through the water. When the tides came out, then they just had issues with mud. And so there's all sorts of times people would be crossing the street, they'd go knee deep in the mud, wagons would get caught up in the mud, and it was generally a horrible place. And this was all Pioneer Square in the past. Mm-hmm. And then the fire happened in 1880. in 1889, and it actually was very beneficial for the city. And it was a chance to rebuild and do everything right. So going back to the fire being actually a great thing to happen to Seattle, because they got
Even
to
though it
start
was
over.
a disaster.
Well, a fire, I know. Fire was a disaster, but they created, it was their chance to create something new because...
Something that worked.
Right. We need to raise everything up. But remember, the fire wiped out all of the buildings. Like, there was nothing left. So all of the new buildings were going to have to be made out of stone. And they're like, okay, since we're rebuilding every single building here, let's do this right. We're going to build everything up one level. The streets and the sidewalks were going to be up, like a whole story up. So the buildings were built at the same time as streets, roads, sidewalks were built. And the partnership between the city and the businesses was that the businesses were told, okay, just remember the streets and the sidewalks are going to be one story up. So yeah, you can build your building. Keep in mind that your first floor now is not going to be the first floor when we're done with the sidewalks and the streets. So build your first floor really basic, but your second floor, make that very like the grand entrance, because that's where in a year or two, whenever these streets and sidewalks are all finished, that's where the new entrance is going to be, and the first floor is going to be really could be a basement or whatever. So that's what ended up happening. Buildings and streets and sidewalks are all built at different times. The street was built up, but not the sidewalk.
Right.
And so there was no way to get into the building except through that ground floor. So all throughout the city during this time period of years, there were ladders that went from the bottom floor up to the street level. So people, to go shopping, they were going up and down ladders, and people were walking on streets down up here, and people were walking on the main ground level here. There were lots of accidents that happened.
These really cool mosaic glass walkways are on their sidewalks, but that's actually to let light into the basement floor. It's not because it was pretty, it's because there's actually a function to it.
Right, so when you're walking in this area of Pioneer Square on the sidewalks, you'll see these purple glass prisms that are embedded in, and it acts, just like Matthew said, as a skylight type of thing. Now, if you can go on tours of this underground area. So there's a couple different tour companies that take you down below, and they show you different areas. So feel free to go on both tours. You're going to see two totally different areas. They will show you those original storefronts. You can walk where the sidewalks used to be, but you're going to see, like, you know, even some furniture in there. I was surprised at Seattle's role in the gold rush.
A lot of those people went through Seattle to the Yukon, and they had to help build up all of their supplies. So a lot of the money that started for Seattle, or that helped develop Seattle into what it is, was because of those travelers going through Seattle to the Yukon.
I'm standing right outside of the Klondike Gold Rush Museum. It's a national park site here in Seattle in Pioneer Square. There's 2 floors of exhibits about the gold rush, and you might think, well, what does that have anything to do with Seattle? Because yes, you're correct. There's not gold that was found in Seattle, but in 1897, there was gold discovered that was in the Yukon, and all of a sudden the gold rush was on. There was about 100,000 people over the next few years that went to the Yukon to try to discover gold, and 70,000 of those 100,000 passed through Seattle to load up on supplies. So that pumped in millions of dollars into the Pioneer Square area.
So what some people might not tell you about Seattle is that it is incredibly easy to access Pioneer Square. If you don't like to drive in major cities, then there are other options. One of the easiest options is to catch the light rail. Just look on the route map, and you will see there is a stop called Pioneer Square. And it really is right in the heart of Pioneer Square. It's pretty much next door to the Smith Tower.
If you
Great.
prefer, though, you could take the train in from Tacoma.
And so that train will stop at King Street Station, which is
About 5 blocks from Smith Tower, probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a couple blocks away from the edge of Pioneer Square. It's right next to all of the stadiums nearby. So you can take the train in to King Street Station and you can walk.
Walking around the city, I mean, Seattle is known as being a very hilly city, which there are spots that are pretty extreme. But most of the Pioneer Square area and the stadium area is pretty flat, so it's very easy to walk it.
I mean, Pioneer Square, you've probably heard of it before. It is a famous neighborhood in Seattle, but we're hoping that we provided a little bit of insight of things that you might not have heard of before, new little surprises.
Just bring in a little smile. So whether it's us offering humorous statements occasionally, oh, me anyway, you're not very funny, or if you just enjoy what we can offer you, then we've done our job. That's great. That's perfect. Yeah.